Welcome back and hello again. It's the first episode for the very first time of Wouldn't It Be Cool If? The new show that I made up to see if it's even possible for me to make short form videos. This is where I take ideas that I've been sitting on for a while or suddenly had on a whim and want to jot it down right now without going through the extra trouble of turning it into a 5 to 10,000 word script, which in turn takes over a week to finish recording and editing. The title of the series is short for Wouldn't It Be Cool If I Made a Video About, followed by the subject. It's sort of a test bed. Maybe, talking about an idea in the Webkey video, I realize it doesn't have legs and will never be a full episode of my dumb internet show. Or maybe I could have an epiphany right then and there and the Webkey becomes the full script. I don't know yet, it's only the first episode. There's a lot more context where I explained how I came up with this idea that I wrote in previous drafts, but this inaugural episode contains a lot of questions, so I don't really want to get into it. Instead, if you're interested in hearing about the story of how this show came to be and what it is exactly in more detail, I'll leave all of that in the description so you can check it out if you want. Instead, I want to move along to this episode's topic. I just realized it's almost 426. Alien Day. So, if this format is really going to work, what better way to prove it than to get a video out just in time for that? And naturally, I've been sitting on an idea for an alien video, of course I have, but there are some hurdles that I need to overcome if I want to get the presentation right of that future video. So we're not going to figure it out today, but what we can do is talk about what those problems are, which is why I want to ask you, wouldn't it be cool if I made a video about the xenomorph life cycle? The first thing to get out of the way is some terminology. There are multiple different species of capital A aliens in the franchise. The species from most of the films has been officially retroactively called Xenomorph XX121. The white ones from Covenant are called neomorphs, the other aliens from Covenant that David made are the prionomorphs, and the species that the Deacon belongs to is either called the proto-xenomorph or the protomorph, both of which are terrible names because it's not a prototype, it's a completely different branch of the family tree. So instead, I'm going to call that last species ultramorphs, because that's what they were calling the alien that became the Deacon during production. At that point, the ultramorph was actually a xenomorph that just emerged from an engineer, not a new species. But that's not how xeno names work. You don't call the dog alien the dogmorph, right? If the suffix is morph, it's established by now that you're talking about a different breed of alien. So, because the Deacon is still functionally the ultramorph, that's what we're going to call them. When we talk about all these species and the black goo mutations as a whole, I'm just going to call them xenos as opposed to xenomorphs, which are just the XX121 breed from the first three and the subspecies specially bred by predators. We don't need to talk about the hybrids from Resurrection in this video because I have all of that stuff settled. The big thing getting in the way of a full life cycle video are the open questions. Obviously, if I'm going to nerd out about the monster movies for an hour, I want to do it in a way where the viewer is the receiver of nerdy information, not the receiver of confused anger over inexplicable nonsense. For this video, you're gonna receive some of that. Sorry. So what I want to do here is talk about what these issues and mysteries are that are getting in the way of a comprehensive Xeno life cycle video, and talk about what the possible answers might be. Most of these are a result of the last two movies, Prometheus and Covenant. This is because the writers of those movies suck ass at writing and were actually doing a bad job on purpose. I'm not kidding. Look it up. If you've seen Lost, you'll know what I mean. And that even if they did want to do a good job, they were being hired to make creation as propaganda for a non-functioning alcoholic with his hugely ego-inflated head firmly wedged up his own ass. So it's no mystery why those movies make no sense. Given that Romulus will again be dealing with the black goo, and the movie isn't directed by Ridley Scott or written by Ken Ham, it's possible that the film will give us some answers, or at least the ability to come up with some reasonable conclusions. Now, the open question that isn't about any of the new stuff from the last two films actually isn't a problem for me. That's still technically an unknown, yeah, but I've actually developed a really satisfying explanation for that which has stood the test of time. It contradicts nothing, it has explanatory power, it has predictive power, and is softly supported by material from the franchise that was specifically written in an attempt to solve this very issue, which is in itself informed my opinion in the first place. So here's what happened. The original film explained that the eggs came from the adults who would morph other organisms into the egg, which is called egg morphing. That sequence was cut from the theatrical release. So when James Cameron made his movie, he came up with a different idea to make a queen alien. He forgot to explain, however, where the hell the queen alien comes from. So instead of solving it, he just pushed it down the road for the next schmuck to deal with. But that's okay, because during production of the third movie, they came up with an explanation for where queens come from. They're from these special facehuggers called super facehuggers that implant embryos inside hosts, which are queens from inception, which is what happens to Ripley. But that explanation was all cut from the theatrical version, meaning as audiences saw it in Alien 3 at the time, they now knew that queen bursters existed, but they had no idea where the hell they came from. After the release of the assembly cut and numerous expanded universe material, super facehuggers are pretty well known by now, and they're definitely a thing, so we have that settled. We just don't know where they come from. So this is a problem caused by the ambiguity of the events of the EEV ejection and crash. And the reason it's ambiguous is because of the editing, and the reason the editing is like that is because the movie was in production hell while it was in the middle of principal photography. These motherfuckers were rewriting shit on the day scenes were scheduled to be shot. So it was an actual nightmare. And but I think I have a satisfying answer to both where super facehuggers come from, as well as what exactly happened on the Sulaco. It basically ignores the explanation in Colonial Marines, but that's okay, because Colonial Marines basically ignores Alien 3. My opinion on this is partially influenced by the Alien RPG from Free League, the Morkborg guys. I give the RPG more weight for its explanations than I do other EEU material. Why? Because it's pretty damn thorough, and it's also the only source actively trying to solve problems created by these open questions, because the format of a game requires them to work out the mechanics for this kind of stuff, whereas something like a movie or a novel or whatever has to focus on telling a story as a primary goal, and that isn't always going to leave room for easy and convenient explanations. It's also current, which means that the licensor who shall not be named is actively signing off on the material right now in the present. It's also a cinematic game, so it's built to feel like playing out the events of a movie, so the mechanics they come up with feel like they belong in the main series. They also future-proofed all of this stuff, so the supplements and modules that they make are super isolated incidents under specific circumstances. So if the films end up proving them wrong in the future, they can just say, oh, well, that was a different strain. The questions about Prometheus and Covenant that they left us with are the exact mechanics of how the black goo was supposed to work and the specific origins of the new species of Xenos. We know that the black goo turns things into Xenos. That's the basic idea. But it's more complicated than that because sometimes when an organism is introduced to the black goo, it just dissolves into more black goo. What's worse, there are two humans that are exposed to the goo, and they react in completely different ways. Holloway takes on the same symptoms as the Cold Open engineer, albeit at a much slower pace, while Fifield turns into a Xeno. And they do this over the same period of time, roughly speaking, meaning that they really should have been keeping pace with each other if it did the same thing to everyone. My best explanation, or the best explanation that I've heard for this, is that it's how you're exposed. So that if you drink the goo, that's the thing that makes you dissolve. That's why the engineer and Holloway did it that way, and it's why Fifield in the worms turned into Xenos. This actually tracks because it seems to scale with the dosage. Holloway only had a single drop, but the cold open engineer drank a whole cup of the stuff, and the engineer dissolved in seconds while Holloway took something like a day to start displaying similar symptoms. The bombing sequence also seems to bear this out, because when David bombs Planet 4, the canisters burst in the air into a cloud, turning the black goo into an aerosol to be breathed in. The RPG has mechanics for this, which make it so that the further away you are, the less heavy the symptoms are. At the perimeter, the infection is closer to Holloway's. Those closer to the center inhale so much that they almost immediately explode into goo, and at ground zero they turn into goo statues for some reason. So, as far as I'm concerned, until we get a better answer, that's it. That's how it works. The RPG breaks down all Xenos into stages, which is a helpful way to directly compare them. For the black goo mutants, like the Hammerpedes and Fifield and those that ingest the goo, it works a little differently, where each is a stage of the infection with elevated symptoms. These are the same up until the final effect. If you're an anathema, you do a goosplosion. But if it touched you by your skin, by stage 3, you just are a Xeno. For the Xeno species, stage 3 to 4 is also where we find the adults. The way it breaks down there is that stage 1 is the egg, and then at stage 2 or 3, it's at the endoparasitic stage, your facehugger equivalents. And from there on, you get the ones that burst out of the host and then grow into adults. Once you get to the endoparasite stage, that's the thing that you are, right? So facehuggers will always make Bambi bursters come out of dogs, and trilobites will always make deacons come out of engineers. Where the eggs come from is a little bit more complicated. We have multiple answers for xenomorphs, including the thing that I'm cooking about the super facehuggers. But these new Xeno species were only in like one movie apiece so far, and Covenant threw out the species from Prometheus and just did its own thing. So we don't really know where any of the eggs come from for them. And in the case of the Ultramorphs, we never even got an egg. The only thing we can say for certain is that Ultramorphs, Neomorphs, and Prydomorphs all come from the black goo first. We can't for sure say that the goo came before the Xeno in the case of the Xenomorphs, but for those new Xenos, that's an established fact. The frustrating part about the Ultramorphs is that, unlike the other two, we actually see the process of their creation in the movie. And it still doesn't make sense. So the deacon burst from an engineer, fine, which was implanted by a trilobite, makes sense, which is the adult stage of what the RPG calls a naiad, got it, which comes out of Shaw's womb, despite her being infertile, and happened after presumably having unprotected sex with Holloway, but she's infertile, so she couldn't... Okay, so we have a serious problem here, right? Holloway is an anathema. If our goo hypothesis is right, then he was never going to turn into what Fifield did. It was goosplosion all the way. If that's true, he's not a Xeno. He's infected, right? So if it's in his system, then his gametes would be too, right? They would be infected. And then if that's in Shaw's womb, the million-dollar question is, did she genuinely get pregnant because the goo-tainted material inside of her womb mutated her and conceived the naiad? Or was the naiad simply something that was always going to come out of Holloway and he just transferred it to Shaw? If the naiad was actually conceived through sexual reproduction, that means two things. One, we do not need to re-examine our hypothesis about how the black goo works, which is good. But two, The circumstances behind the creation of the Ultramorphs is extremely specific and therefore astronomically unlikely to ever happen at all, let alone again in a franchise where it was already in the worst movie. If this is the case, there is no chance in hell we are ever getting a story that confirms if this hypothesis is correct. If it's the other way around, if Holloway just transferred the Naiad to Shaw, then we have a problem with our hypothesis of anathemas only ever goose-bloating and never birthing Xenos, because that implies that if they never did that, Holloway would have left behind a Naiad after he goose-bloated, right? But we can test that because we see what happens when the engineer drinks the stuff and doesn't leave a Xeno behind when he goose-bloats. Likewise, Fifield and the Hammerpede never give birth to anything either, so this would be the only instance of a black goo mutation giving birth to another separate Xeno species that we can positively prove. And if this is the intended effect of the black goo, based on all of the black goo mutants that we've seen in the last two films, we should expect to have seen it at least one other time, but it never happens again. And we can't use the RPG for this one either because it doesn't even try. They wrote up the Ultramorphs, sure, if you want to put them in your game you can, but their explanation of the life cycle is completely removed from anything that happens in Prometheus. They basically just gave up and came up with something better. Where do Ultramorphs come from? Oh, from floating irradiated glowing mutant particles of black goo that are only found near a black hole that turn spaceships into living hives that grab organisms and turn them into eggs called uteropods that birth naiads. What do you mean you don't remember that scene from Prometheus? To their credit, though, the newest expansion actually does feature an alternative Stage 1 for fitting it into your game. You remember that scene, the morning after scene, where Holloway looks in the mirror and he's got like a little black thing in his eye? Yeah, so that's it. The Stage 1 of the Ultramorph is the eye worm, I guess. The two new Xenos from Covenant aren't quite as bad because they do pay lip service to their origin. It's just that those explanations are really vague and full of holes. The Neomorphs come from the black goo. That's it. That's all we're told. Based on the drawings made by David, the Neomorphs could be as simple as a black goo mutating some of the fungus-like things that live on the planet. This would still give us the problem of how no other creature infected by the black goo does this, though, so we'd have to take it alongside the eyeworm thing and come up with an explanation for why Fifield and the Hammerpedes don't do this. Oh, right, and the Cold Open engineer. We also don't for certain know that those drawings weren't just of the Neomorph egg sacs to begin with. But even if they're not, I gotta say, that's a gray area, because David says the black goo doesn't infect botanical life when he's on an alien planet without any goddamn plants on it, because plants are earthlings and he's not on Earth. But I guess the filmmakers forgot that, even though alien is in the title of their fucking movie. Obviously funguses aren't plants, but those things in David's notebooks aren't fungi or plants. They're alien life forms. So do they count? What counts, David? What does non-botanical mean on an alien planet? The other option I've heard is maybe they're just a sort of congealed form of the black goo itself and not actually an infected organism. But that's stupid and also doesn't match up with anything we know or have seen in the films. So no. We get a bit more info about the Pridomorphs, but nothing conclusive. We definitely know that David made them, we just don't know how. He obviously isn't splicing genes, he doesn't have the tech for that. So it has to be a series of biological reactions with the black goo and Xenos and the hosts that he has available. I've seen people go frame by frame over the short films Advent and David's Lab, scrutinizing the dialogue in them, and they seem to think that he took tissue samples from engineers, Shaw's wombs, and the Neomorphs born from various native creatures on the planet, and smooched them all together in the black goo, and then that somehow made it happen. This paints a picture of him making a sandwich of dead tissues with black goo as the mustard, which sounds really fucking stupid and doesn't make any sense. The obvious thing to do is to use the black goo to do something and use Shaw's eggs, right? It can't be that simple. I think it would just make uteropods that hatch into naiads if we follow the rules of the hypothesis I said earlier, but still, eggs, black goo, Xeno eggs, like it kind of writes itself, right? If it was a good movie, they would have utilized that, because good movies usually have themes. But it's not, so they didn't. So I don't know. Tissue sample goo sandwich, is that really what the Pridomorph eggs are? I sure hope not, but I don't know. So that's the stuff I gotta figure out. If you've got any ideas, feel free to sound off if you like. This will be a video someday, because if I make a single alien video, it'll be this one. So I'll have to come up with something. But until then, happy Alien Day, and I don't feel so good suddenly. Oh, it's me. I'm the Maui alien. Oh no. This is my origin story. Autobots transform and roll out. Such a long time ago. Will things ever change? No, things don't ever change. Distance mean nothing to him now. He can take his time. The face is all passing by. He smiles, he pauses for a while. Are you a pirate that died? Or like are you a ghost that became a pirate? Because I mean, like, if you're a ghost pirate, then you're a pirate. Wait, which one is which? Are you a pirate? If you're a pirate ghost, you're the ghost of a pirate, right? And then if you're a ghost pirate, like you would say a person is a pirate, and you're leaving off because the implied human pirate, right? You wouldn't say pirate human, you would say human pirate, elf pirate, right? Like if you're in a fantasy game and it was a class, you would go race class. So ghost pirate is a but does that mean, okay, so if it's a ghost pirate, does that mean it's a ghost that has taken a pirate as a class, or is it now I'm starting to lean the other way. The endless debate, the great immortal debate. You know, we'll never know. We'll never figure it out. There's no way to know. Are the ghost pirates? You know what it was? It was originally, I think the thing was it a ghost pirate or a pirate ghost, and then they knew both. No, you know what? I think this is also part of the bet. I think I'm being too hard on myself. Not bet, the great debate, rather the great debate, the great serious debate on is the ghost pirate. Is a ghost pirate a ghost that has become a pirate, or is it the ghost of a pirate? And then likewise, which one is pirate ghost? Is a pirate ghost the ghost of a pirate, or a pirate that becomes a ghost? Like which one is it, and which one is which? Basically. That's not what this segment is about. I wasted all your time. I did. First of all, let me get that guy out of the way, and then just look at this. Just look at this amazing. Don't ask me why I shrunk and grew when I turned around. Just look at this amazing ship and all of this wonderful majesty. Oh, I did it again. Like, what is up with this? Here we go. Do you see this? It says Ghost, but this, it looks like it's a Pirates of the Caribbean thing, but if you look here, it just says Ghost. Oh, let me get out of the way, sorry. It just says Ghost Pirates. And then so if you go down here, this, is there a quicker way? Let me just stand on my head for a little bit. So this looks like something, but it's nothing. And this, I think I found my niche, y'all. And this here, so this is like an octopus, but why is it in the, what is this, the bilge or something? The fuck? Why is an octopus down there? It should be out here. I hope I don't fall. Whoa! Oh no! Oh no, I'm falling! I'm just kidding, guys. I'm not falling. I'm not falling, it's fine. I'm just a piece of paper, it doesn't matter. What was I doing? Oh, right, the secret segment. Let me get over here. Okay, so I come up with a new game, and it's called, you know that game, Good Name for a Band, where you come up with, or like you say something that sounds kind of off or funny or whatever, and then you say good name for a band, and that makes it a punchline. Okay, so I came up with a new game, and it's called Bad Name for a Band. And it's the same kind of thing, except it's still, like, it sounds like a band name, but it's like not good. Like, it's a bad name. And I came up with a bunch of them, and then I had some friends come up with a couple others, so we're gonna go through them. And that's what the secret segment is. So, you know, get ready for that. It's gonna blow you away. Boy, howdy. Okay. The great debate. No, that's not part. This isn't part of the segment. I love that my list starts with it just starts wrong. So that lets you know what we're in for. Okay. This is great. This is going to be a great secret segment. I don't know why I'm doubting myself. This is going to work out so well. Okay, the great about, again, not. Oh no, this is bad names for a band. So is that. Yeah, that's true. That actually is a pretty bad name. Yeah, and so is that. Oh, I understand what's happening here. As I add things to the list, they're on the list of bad names for a band. Man, you're going to have to keep that in mind this whole time we go through this whole list, man, or this isn't going to make sense. Okay, so every entry on this list is a submission as a bad name for a band. So keep that in mind. So if you saw a band called That Actually Is a Pretty Bad Name, that would be a bad. I don't know why I'm explaining this like this is going to be hard to get for other people. It's difficult to get for me. But I'm sober, so everything's on the level here. Let me tell you what. So I mean, everyone else should have an easy problem, no problem. Actually, you know what? I think everyone will, because I do, and I'm definitely sober. So like, yeah. So if I need the help, you need the help. All right. Okay, we ready? Okay. So that's a bad name for a band, and so is that, is also a bad name for a band. So is this one. Okay, I think at this point the actual bad names for a band start coming in. You know what I'm going to do? This is a little, I think it's showing, I don't think it should be showing two at once. Nope, not like that. Actually, let me make it bigger. There's no reason not to. I'm going to close it up. Okay. We're officially starting the list for real this time. Okay, auto wrong. Rusty nails. Grimbo's gold. Complicated plan. Shrimple plan. I can already see a problem here. First of all, that one is actually pretty good. I mean, it's not okay, it's not good, but it's like not that bad, right? Shrimple plan? You can probably use shrimple plan. Okay. Legitimate business. Cut to phase tweet. Oh, that's right. I have pictures today. So like I said, I got some suggestions from other people. There's this one. My band name, bad. Let me try that again. My bad band name would be Crusty Mayonnaise or Microplastics. Then we got another response from Winterborn. These are both friends of mine who are streamers, by the way. I'm already leaving like 4 or 5 links in this. I'm gonna put links to their channels in there too. Why the fuck not, right? Like I'll just give myself more work. It'll be fine. Bad band names. Eugene's pretty good. That one's pretty good. Disinterested Rats. Oh, that one's really great. And for bad, you had great band names. There is a real band with the name originally fake. Didn't mean to say originally. Toad the Wet. Oh, I know Toad the Red Sprocket. Man, Toad the Wet Sprocket. That's actually so good. Hold on a second. I gotta call this dude out because that's actually so good. That's actually so good. I kept trying to think of a stupid already existing band name to put on the list as a bit, but couldn't think of one dumb enough. That's by the way, that's why Complicated Plan and Shrimple Plan are on there. I don't actually think Simple Plan is that bad of a name for a band. They are like one of the worst bands I've ever heard in my life, though. And it's also where like the parody band. I don't need to explain the joke to you. This is not how this is supposed to work. Intense Leg Cramp. Right. This is the reason, because Intense Leg Cramp was one that she wrote, but I didn't feel like screen capping it. There's also this list, which was a bit of a back and forth. I don't know why I didn't need that much of it. Go Gamble Mode is such a bad band. Whatever. Gamble Mode. Bad band name. Stubbed Toe. Yeah, I guess so. This is like, these are bad band names, but I feel like something that's going to get missed a lot as I go through my list is going to be that I like maybe wasn't putting all the ones on there that actually felt like band names. The Pants. This one, I'll stand by the Pants, though, because you know what? How many bands are there that are just like one noun and then the noun? How many the noun bands are there? There's so many, right? So the Pants could be one. This is a good one. I like this one. This is a good listen to me. I'm not even like laughing at my own jokes. I'm just like going, yeah, that's a good one. You did all right, Millie. You did fine. Oh no, this one sucks. Let me ask you a question. Get your bets out right now. Now that you know that I've started this, how many more times do you think I'm going to do this? How many more times am I going to come back to the rule of every time? Get your bets in now. And then also start counting, because I'm going to lose count at a certain point. You know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to try to count. So we're at 2. We're at the Pants 2. And we'll see how far this goes. Well, that is awful. That doesn't really sound like a band name, though. That one sucks. Foov by... Oh, God. Foov by 5. Vibe by 5. 5 by 5. There, yeah, that's what I meant to say. The other ones are typos. I guess I just thought it was funny to keep in the typos because I thought a band name with a typo in it would be funny. Fly by Night. Fly by Night. This one. This one might be my favorite. I don't even think it's a good band name, but it might actually be my favorite. Don't tell anyone, okay? Notice I didn't say 5 by Night or Fly by Night because those both agreed. Those are both actually good band names. I would totally band them. What's the thing when you... Never mind. No, not never mind. What is it? Stand them? Is it stan or stand? Stand doesn't make any sense, so it's got to be stand, right? I can stand them? But that doesn't sound like a compliment. That sounds like, ugh, I can just barely stand them. That's not it, right? Is it stan? Is it the thing? What is it? What is the thing the kids say? Is it stan or is it stand? I don't know. Whatever. Whatever it is, pretend that I said it and that I'm old enough for it to be funny for me to say kid slang. Skibbity toilet to you too. How about the Riz? How about it? The Riz. Dab it up. I don't even think, is that even a kids thing anymore? Has enough time passed that the kids that were doing dabs are like in their late teens or something like that now? Because like that would be so funny. Is that it? Because I just realized my understanding of youth culture is about the same as Jack Films at this point. And his whole channel is basically just him doing a thing where he's old enough for it to be funny that he doesn't understand kid slang. I'm honestly so happy I'm at that age. It's like I haven't been wanting to follow any of this shit when I was in the appropriate age category, right? Like some of it rubbed off on me because, you know, it's just going to. Like I'll say rad or sick nasty or some of that's ironic also, but like what's the thing? Oh snap and like tight, those kind of rubbed off on me. Not as much, I don't say them as much now, but like, you know, a little bit is still in there. But like I couldn't be bothered to remember or pay attention to like most of this stuff. Like I was not a cool kid when I was a kid, and so I have never really wanted to keep up with this shit or like understand it. And so now that I'm old enough that it's like ironically funny for me to say skibbity riz toilet, then that's right where I want to be, man. What were we doing? Oh yeah, band names. Okay, what am I doing? Right, 5 by Night and Fly by Night. Fly by Night? Is it Fly by Night or Fly by 5? Oh, it's both. I think Fly by Night is funnier though. Nope, didn't do that. The Not Pretendingers. Okay, so here's some of my bad parodies of existing band names. A51's Dave Matthews Band. I told you I couldn't think of anything good. Matt Davidson's band, equally. I mean, it's not like it's a good band name, but it's not as funny as Toad and the Wet Sprocket. My band, your band, Dave Matthews' other band, Dave Matthews' first band, Dave Matthews' final band, the Pants 3. Okay, so we're at 3 now. Florbural Flingiesians. You can imagine like a prog rock band being named this, right? Or like a jam band. This is possible. There's a band out there with like notes. There's King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. One of those. I mean, no, Gizzard is a real word. Never mind. There's bands out there with just like nonsense names. You gotta give me that one. Give me that one, man. Oh no. Don't give me this one. Don't give me this one. I'm not even gonna read it. Don't even dignify this one. How dare I? What is my problem? 4. Dave Matthews Band 2. The Pants 2. Okay, we're at 5 now. We're at 5. Let's not lose count now. This is an even worse bit than the ghost thing. Molly from the past, son of a bitch, I still did the ghost thing. You dumb bitch. I did them both. Don't you feel stupid now? That's right, me from the past. You don't know shit. It's way worse than you thought. It's okay, y'all. The next one's going to be so much better. The Pants 7. Put on the pants. Again. Wait, that's not 7. That's 5. Oh, that's right. We skipped. I thought it would be funny if we skipped one. So we skipped one. So it goes 1, but that bit got list because we didn't do 5. We did 2, 2. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, and then 7. But 2, 2 wasn't 5. I mean, it's like the 5th one, but it's like, oh, I think that was a joke about how Alien fans can't count. And I keep calling every new Alien movie that comes out Alien 5. Like, we're up to the 9th movie now, and they're still doing it. They're still calling Alien Romulus Alien 5. Like, what? Like, what? Like, what? Like, actually, what? All right. Virtually music. Nope, scratch that one. I like virtual music. I don't know that I like either of those. Yeah, I don't know that either of them are funny. Wouldn't it be funny if... Actually, that one's alright. Well, wouldn't it be funny if we started a band? That one's not... Yeah, that one's not good. It gives a joke away. I agree. Now we're on the same page. The commentary isn't meant to be part of the entry. Fucking terrible band name. Doesn't even sound like a real band name. Neither was that. Yep. Neither is this. Jesus Christ. The Pants X. Hold on. That's not 10. Did we skip a bunch again? Because we're at 8. I think we're only at 8. Oh, I think I know what happened. So we're at 8 right now. Angela and the Demons. Yeah, that kind of sucks. That's a good one. That sounds... Damon and the Angels. Yeah, that's even worse. Satan and their choir of the Bastard Angels. Too long. Bastard Angels. Yeah, that one's too good. But Angel Bastards, that one is just right. The Pants. Hold on. We're at 9 now. So The Pants, 2011 reboot. Ironically, it would be funny if one of those bands that changes membership regularly, aside from a frontman or whatever, just subtitled their band names with such and such year reboot. They don't have to. I just think that would fun. Man, nobody thought that was imperative. If you hold on. I'm removing that part. It is imperative. If you're in a band right now and you're watching this video, by watching this video, you agree. This is a good thing to do, to tell my audience that if they stop watching the video, then they'll get some sort of reward. That's smart, right? By watching any of this video up to this point, you have signed a contract that says if you are in a band, this is all legally above board. I know what I'm talking about. I know a lot about the law. Trust me on this. Okay, so if you're in a band, you do have to do this. If you change lineups, aside from like a few remaining members or something like that, you gotta, when you put out your next album, you gotta call it whatever your band name was before, and then parentheses, the year that album released, and then the reboot. Or don't use the year that album released. It would be even funnier. Okay, so that's the deal. All right, so anybody's in the band, that's what you got to do. Sorry, I don't make the rules except for that one, which I definitely did made and will enforce. How? Well, don't worry about that. Where are we? Pants 2 2014 reboot. No, this is 10, right? This is definitely 10. The Pants 2 20. I had this idea in my head where they made the reboot and they just called it The Pants because, you know, of course they would. And then they would make a sequel to that, and the sequel would like ignore the other one even though it was called The Pants 2. And then the next one would like follow more closely to the other reboot. Like a reboot that did bad, and then they rebooted the reboot, and then that one did bad, so they went back to the previous reboot continuity. That's what I was thinking in my head. Does that make any sense? That has to have happened, right? Like by now, with all the cinematic universes and reboots of reboots and kind of shit that Hollywood has been doing over the past like 20 years or whatever, that's got to have happened like at least once, right? Where they rebooted a reboot and then that one, like neither of them did well, and then so the response to the second time they failed was to go back to the last time they failed and try to do that again, right? I don't know, whatever. The new Pants. Okay, so what are we at? Pants 10 was 8. The reboot was 9. 2 is 10. This is 11. This one is 11. The new Pants, that's 12. The Pant, that's 13. Uh-oh, Pant 13. We're pretty sure we did 12 others. Oh boy. I'm shocked I got it that close, honestly. I should just be proud that I was as close as I was. And also I probably counted wrong in Anwyas, so whatever. Or maybe the new Pant doesn't count. Maybe one of them doesn't count for some reason. I don't know. No, I'm not going back to count them. Well, joke's on you. Leave a like if you counted them. Leave a comment if I got the number wrong or right. I will probably not see it for a while because comments make me anxious. But then again, if you've seen the -1 video, you know most things make me anxious. Uh-oh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Ghost Pirates. Hey, didn't we do Ghost Pirates already? Did I dream that? I think we did. You know, I think the problem with doing the Ghost Pirates thing though is it's not as interesting a setup because it relies almost entirely on me getting confused for the entire runtime, and other than that it's like one bit unless I find a tangent in there, so I don't think that's going to work for a secret segment. I think what we need to do instead is I think the real strength here is going to be that bad names for band segment. So let's do a list of that, and we'll write it down in a text file because that'll be funny, and then we'll run that back and we'll do that for the secret segment. And then the Ghost Pirate thing can be just something we tack on if we need to fill for time. All right, how's that sound? Did I just create a causal time loop? Am I about to time travel into the future? Did I already live through that, or was I me from here now? If you... I don't have time to get into that. And you know what? I also don't have... Is a sign-off for a secret segment.